Hi everyone, another busy month for us all and still crazy times dealing with COVID. So this month we are focusing on stimulation, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how do we create environments that are stimulating, and from an interiors perspective, how can the design of the environment facilitate engagement? Which leads in really well with our speaker for next month. We're very excited to be able to bring you an interview with one of the world's leading placemakers, David Engwicht, who is currently working on an aged care project in Brisbane with a view to getting more residents spending time outdoors. Now, of course, we know how healthy it is for us to spend time in the outside environment, but that also comes with its challenges, especially for residents living in aged care. So I'm going to be really interested in finding out from David what we can do to not only encourage residents outdoors, but what that means in creating an environment that is comfortable and pleasant for residents to spend time in. With spring only a month away, I think it is great timing for my chat with David. So keep an eye out in your inbox next month for my interview. So our newsletter this month features Heathside Book Club, and that definitely has to do with stimulation. What I like about it is that it is evidence-based and topics have been chosen in focus groups by older people and people living with dementia. So what does that have to do with the environment? Well, it has a lot to do with it. So often we create many beautiful spaces, but what purpose do they fulfill, or are they just another lounge or sitting room? Now, I'm not saying that we don't need those spaces, but what we need to consider is how can we create spaces that facilitate things such as book club, and importantly, spaces that mirror what we have at home. After all, we are trying to create a domestic environment. Our standard home, we know, is made up of many different spaces, and that includes a kitchen, dining, laundry, bedrooms, lounge, family games room, and the outdoors. So we know that we definitely can create those spaces within an aged care facility. But I also believe because of the frailty of our residents, we even need to go one step further, which is how do we incorporate lifestyle within the home? In other words, spaces such as cafes, hairdressers, intergenerational playgrounds, movie events, family gathering areas, which include barbecues, and the list goes on. And also, more importantly, how are they created so that they are actually used by families, visitors, and of course the residents. So let's go back to the book club and consider how we incorporate that within the environment without it necessarily being done in an activity room. So in other words, making it even more meaningful. Let's look at the subject of Italian food. Wouldn't it be more relevant if it was discussed in the kitchen whilst a carer or lifestyle person was actually cooking Italian food or preparing it or even just dishing it out for the residents to taste? Doesn't that relate better and seem more normal? After all, we all use our phones or iPads for recipes to follow whilst we're cooking in the kitchen, so it's very much normal behaviour. The beauty about this particular book club is that it goes further than just the recipes. It has great additional information about the region of Italy, for example, and the scenery. You could even think about extending the experience for the resident by then leaving them with something to watch on Italy, which of course frees up the staff to move on to their next task. Let's also consider something such as music. I know they have a book on jazz, so what about listening to the book in a music room so that you are surrounded with images and musical instruments? Interestingly, research actually says that when you listen to jazz, the music stimulates a calming effect on your body, signalling your central nervous system to actually lower your respiratory rate and heart rate. According to research, jazz also improves your verbal ability, focus, memory, and mood. And this was apparently noted in patients that had suffered from a stroke. However, I guess if you don't like jazz music, it might not have the same effect. But most of us like some genre of music, so it could be classical or even rock and roll. Once again, you can leave the residents listening or even watching jazz on the TV. Now, another book is on coffee, and we all absolutely, I think, love coffee. So you could be discussing coffee while sitting in your cafe area, sipping on a cup of coffee or having afternoon tea. We all know that the smell of the brewed beverage stimulates the production of adrenaline and dopamine in the brain, making us actually feel happier. Now, the book club was created by a group of dedicated professionals at Hearthstone Alzheimer's Care in the US, and they are leaders in memory care, having managed assisted living residences for more than 25 years. They looked at the impact of the activity on participants, which was significant and affected people's quality of life, engagement and pleasure. What they found was that participants were more engaged whilst participating. So you can just imagine if we add another layer by ensuring that the environment matches the activity. They have found the group sizes from 4 to 7 works really well, but larger groups of 10 to 15 participants can be done successfully as well, but it takes apparently a very skilled staff member. So it's not just another idea. The Heathside Book Club is backed by science, and I'd really recommend you pop online and take a look. So when we are designing spaces, we really need to think about how those spaces can work. Whilst having a lovely sitting or lounge room is important, let's not just build or decorate another sitting room without it being able to facilitate programs such as the book club. The most important part of the process is really understanding what the organisation wants. What is their philosophy? What model or practice do they want to deliver? If this is not clearly articulated, you will just end up with nice looking sitting rooms and lounge rooms and many spaces that actually don't really work. Also, technology definitely needs to be considered more so than ever before. With COVID and resident frailty, connection is becoming even more difficult, and technology is a way to bridge that gap. So thanks very much for listening about stimulation. I hope everyone has a great month, and please look out for my talk with David, which will be coming up next month. It should be very enlightening. I look forward to chatting with you all again next month. So bye for now.